Do you want to know how admission officers decide who to admit or deny? I'm spilling all in this video. Hello, everyone. Dr. Colon here again. When I was an admission officer at Vassar College, I read hundreds of applications. And since then, I've read thousands more. When I was trained to read applications, the goal was to ensure that I wasn't being way easier on my applicants versus another admission officer who was really tough. We had a system that we followed to keep things fairly similar across applications. In this video, I'm going to break down for you the 4 questions every admission officer asks before deciding who to admit or deny. Sound good? Okay, let's go. Let me pause a moment and say out loud that I've worked with hundreds of students one-on-one, varying in range of GPA and test scores and college and career goals. However, for those of you watching who have Ivy League dreams, let me tell you a secret. The pattern I saw in those 30 plus students who've been admitted to Ivy League institutions and Stanford took time to understand and study the process. In other words, they became a student of the college application process, which is why you are here too, watching this video. Good coaching comes with valuable insights. And so as I walk you through this process, I'm going to guide you through the 4 questions that college admission officers ask before deciding who to admit or deny. I call this the insider's guide. And so you can follow along as I go through it. I'll link to it here below. We're going to go through these 4 questions. Here they are. 1, how does the applicant's academic record compare to their peers? Number 2, what do the teachers say about the applicant? Number 3, how does the applicant spend their time outside of the classroom? And number 4, who is the applicant and how will she or he contribute to our community? Okay. All right. I'm going to pull up and I'm going to share the guide with you and then let's do this together. Sound good? All right. So like I said, I'm going to link it to if you don't have it in front of you, but if you do, go ahead and pull it up and we're going to walk this through this together. So this is the process, right? So this here, I won't go over this now. I'm going to deeper dive into another video. But here are the 4 components of the college application. Now, you should know this, but in case you don't, there's a student transcript, there's letters of recommendation, there's the co-curricular section, or what I always call the resume section, and then your essays, your personal statement and your supplemental essays, okay? So what you may not know is like why these things are important, why student transcripts are compared to other transcripts from the students in the same high school, why teachers' recommendations matter, why clubs and sports are not just the key to standing out, and why students should avoid writing about death, divorce, and devastation. Again, some of these I'll go into in a bit more deeper dive in later videos, but I just want to review these 4 questions, as I mentioned just earlier. So let's start with question number 1. How do your academics compare to your peers? So I would spend about 3 to 4 minutes on this section, and I would pull up the school profile. Now, if you're not familiar with the school profile, you just want to Google the name of your high school, like Palo Alto High School, plus the word school profile. Pull it up and find it. If you cannot find it, ask the counselor for it. But it gives this information here. It gives the demographics, student population, the grading scale, the number of honors and APs offered, college acceptance statistics, test score statistics, etc. What I was looking for on that was I would highlight the number of honors or AP courses that were offered at your school in contrast to the number of courses you had taken. So if there were 6 or 7, let's say there were 7 honors courses available and you had taken 3, I would put the number 3 over the number 7, kind of like a little fraction. Okay. I would do the same for APs. I'd count up the number of AP courses you had taken and including your senior year and over the number that were offered at your school. Then we would also recalculate. I would recalculate your GPA on a 12-point scale, meaning that the A+, there were always very few A+. Some schools don't even do A+, but an A+ was a 12 and then an 11 for a straight A, and a 10 for an A minus, and so on and so forth. So I would recalculate a raw GPA. Okay. So I would do all of this and I would take notes. So you can see here what I would take notes on, right? The weighted, the unweighted GPAs, the recalculated GPA, the number of honors and APs, and the actual list of courses that you were taking in senior year. I actually wrote those down on my notes. Moving on to number two, question number two. What do your teachers say about you? I'd spend, 2 to 3 minutes reading the letters of recommendation. Now, granted, there's also a counselor letter of recommendation, but here for this sake, I'm going to focus on the teachers. So we recommend that you always get your letters from one of the 5 core academic subjects: English, math, science, social science, and language, modern language, foreign language. So the teacher's job is to confirm what I'm seeing. So I see these grades, and the teacher is going to put into context your academic examples of your work, your progress, your curiosity, your growth. And the teacher is also meant to verify your future goals. Hopefully your teacher knows, especially if it's related to your career goals, and will say that, you're taking a physics class, you want to major in a STEM major, you're taking an English class, you want to major in English or some kind of humanities, or you want to do research, something like that. So making sure it sort of aligns. Also, the teacher is there to make sure that to solidify that there's an academic fit. Your qualities, your strengths, your traits will give me what the teacher had to say about you, gave me a window into how that student might contribute to our campus, right? If it was a good academic fit. So often students will ask, should I ask the teacher who likes me the best? I mean, that's a bonus, but that's not the biggest goal. So I always say that the teacher can be summed up in one sentence, the teacher recommendation. So, Susie or Julio is one of the top students I've taught in 5th period, or in this senior class, or in the last 3 years, or in my entire career. Do you see the difference? Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on to question number 3. How do you spend your time outside the classroom? That was a huge thing that we looked for. I was looking for involvement versus impact leadership. We'll dive deeper into another video, but suffice to say, being involved in clubs and organizations, like 98% of the applicant pool has that. So you're really looking for like bigger leadership roles, like student body president or editor-in-chief, or how you spend your time. Maybe you have a part-time job, or maybe you also have your Girl Scout Gold Award. So you're getting higher and higher up the food chain of hierarchy. Okay. So that's what I was looking for: impact versus just involvement. Let's see. What did I highlight? I highlighted the impact leadership, major leadership roles, as well as regional, state, national championships, longevity with key leadership roles, and anything fun, unique, or sort of different, like spearfishing, or I love to make sushi, or just something kind of cool and quirky. But that's what I would highlight. Now, there was literally a blank space at the top of the page if the applicant was one of these 5 things: the student body president, the editor-in-chief of the newspaper or yearbook, a Girl Scout Gold Award or Eagle Scout, a team captain of a major sport on your campus, or a state or national champion, or you were curing cancer, something like that. So if an applicant was one of those 5, it went to the top of the notes section. Okay. All right. Question number 4. Who are you and how will you contribute to our community? So the number of minutes I spent on this section was about 3 or 4 minutes. What I was looking for interesting, engaging, and compelling stories. Okay. So what I mean by that is, in the essays, we're looking, as David says, he used to work at Princeton. He said, we're literally having breakfast, lunch, and dinner with these applicants, literally, because that's what you do all day, every day for several months when you're an admission officer. So I love the way he puts it, and that is, as I'm reading through the application, he's like, I wanted to feel like I wanted to have a conversation with this person. I actually wanted this person to be across from me at the table, enjoying a good conversation about, whatever. So are you likable? Are you vulnerable? Do you have personality? Can I picture you on this campus? Those are all things I'm looking for. And it's easier for me to say than explain, because you're just like, what does that even mean? And how do I capture that on paper? Well, it takes some time. It doesn't happen overnight, but you can get there. I promise you. I usually wrote down 1 or 2 things that just popped off the page, and then I would, regurgitate that back to the committee. So I'm never going to remember. This is my big thing that I say all the time. No admission officer is going to ever. We would read 30. I would read about 30 applications per day, 25 to 30. I'm a slow reader. But at the end of the day, I maybe remembered 1 or 2. And then by the end of the week, I maybe remembered 3 to 5 on a good week. So, what I did remember is I can just summarize you in about 3 or 4 sentences. That's really all I'm going to remember. So I'll give you a quick couple of examples and then we'll move on. Okay. So here is just a couple examples, like Emily, the girl who educated teens on drunk driving for her gold award, comes from a 50-year line of military colonels and plans to become the first female colonel in her family. Boom, that's it. Curtis, the DC kid who speaks Mandarin, is skilled in capoeira, interned for Dinosaur George, says there are 5 living African-American paleontologists in the world and I want to be number 6. Here's Jonna, the Chicago girl who shares a bathroom for 5. Champion debater, started a podcast and wants to study political science on her path to becoming POTUS, as in the real POTUS. So if you see here, the introverted, awkward Catholic school kid who loves Magic the Gathering, robotics, and coding, founder of Charged Bikes, building custom electric bikes for 3 years and wants to be the next Elon Musk. Okay. So that can give you an example of just like, I'm just going to remember just a few things about you. So that's all you're trying to do and to capture in one application. Here's Alexis, the girl from a red section of California, liberal, blue values, national champion dancer, NFL football lover, and created a 6-part immigration education podcast. Plans to become an immigration lawyer and a high-ranking judge. Boom. That's really it. Okay. So if you can capture that, then you are golden. Okay. So here's the exercise for today. Answer these questions. What did you hear me say? And what is your biggest takeaway for this video? All college application boot campers, I want you to write it down in your workbook. And everyone, wherever you're watching, post your answer in the comment section under this video, wherever you are watching. Oh, and one last thing. At the end of each session with my private clients, I end it with this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how helpful was today's session? I stole this from Jack Canfield's book, Success Principles. So comment below your answer. If it's not a 10, no worries. The next question I want you to answer is, what would have made it a 10? So comment below and remember, be committed, get admitted. Until next time, go make it a happy and sunny day. Bye for now.